RMS Titanic. They called it Unsinkable. 4 days later, it was at the bottom of the ocean. In April 1912, the biggest ship ever built left port, carrying more than 2,000 people. Newspapers had already given it a nickname that would outlive the ship itself: Unsinkable. Not very safe, not well built, unsinkable, as in it could not sink, not ever. Its name was the RMS Titanic, and the story of how that one word helped kill 1,500 people is wilder than you think. Here's a fact that sounds made up, but it's true. 14 years before Titanic ever sailed, a writer named Morgan Robertson wrote a story about a giant, practically unsinkable ship called the Titan. In the story, it hits an iceberg and sinks because it doesn't have enough lifeboats. That story was written in 1898. Titanic sank in 1912. Nobody saw it as a warning because, at the time, nobody knew it was one. Let's go back to the beginning. In the early 1900s, two shipping companies were racing to build the best ocean liners in the world: White Star Line and Cunard. Cunard already had the fastest ships around, so White Star Line went a different direction. Forget speed, build the biggest, the fanciest, and the safest ship anyone had ever seen. Their plan was three giant sister ships: Olympic, Titanic, Britannic. Titanic was the second one, built to impress: a gym, a pool, dining rooms fit for kings and queens. But the one thing people talked about most wasn't the fancy stuff, it was the walls inside the ship. Titanic was split into 16 sealed sections. Engineers said that if the ship hit something and few sections flooded, it would still float because the rest stayed dry. All the doors between them could slam shut instantly with one switch. On paper, it sounded impossible to beat. Here's where things went wrong. Newspapers picked up the story that made it bigger than it really was. Some articles called the ship practically unsinkable. Over time, people dropped the word practically. They just said the ship could not sink. Passengers believed it, even some of the crew believed it, and believing something too much can be dangerous. On April 10, 1912, Titanic left England, carrying everyone from the richest people in the world to families chasing a new life in America. The first few days went smoothly. People danced, ate fancy meals, and admired the amazing ship under their feet. But up in the radio room, something worrying was happening. Other ships kept sending warnings about ice ahead, way more than usual. And here's the strange part: some of those warnings never even made it to the captain. Why would anyone worry? This was supposed to be the ship that couldn't sink. Then came the night of April 14th. Air turned cold, the ocean went completely flat and dark, which made icebergs almost invisible. At 11:40 at night, a crew member spotted something huge dead ahead. The ship turned as fast as it could. It wasn't enough. The iceberg didn't smash into the front like you'd picture in the movie. It scraped along the side, tearing open several sealed sections at once, like a can opener slicing along a tin can. And here's the number that changed everything. Titanic could survive 4 flooded sections. The iceberg damaged 5. Just one extra section. There's difference between a close call everyone talks about for years and one of the worst disasters in history. For the next 2 hours and 40 minutes, the unsinkable ship slowly sank, so slowly that almost nobody believed it was really happening. Passengers laughed it off at first. Crew members told people not to worry, even while water kept rising below deck. And here's the part that still makes people angry. More than 100 years later, there weren't enough lifeboats, not even close. Titanic only had enough for about half the people on board, because the safety rules at the time were outdated. Nobody thought a ship this big and this safe would ever need a full evacuation. And when the lifeboats did fill up, who got a seat wasn't random. Passengers in the fancier rooms had a much better chance of surviving. Passengers in the cheaper rooms, further from the lifeboats, had much smaller chance. The unsinkable ship didn't just fail to save everyone, it failed to some people far more than others. By 2:20 in the morning on April 15th, Titanic broke apart and disappeared under the ocean. More than 1,500 people died in the freezing water, many of them simply because there was no lifeboat left for them. The whole world was shocked. How does the unsinkable ship sink? Investigators tore the story apart, ignored ice warnings, missing lifeboats, a ship still speeding through icy water, and a public so sure the ship was perfect that nobody questioned it until it was too late. Here's a twist not many people know. Titanic's own engineers never actually called the ship unsinkable. That word came from newspapers, ads, and people repeating it to each other, not from the people who built the ship. But once an idea spreads far enough, it stops mattering who started it. The disaster changed the rules almost overnight. New laws said every ship had to carry enough lifeboats for every passenger. Ships now had to listen for radio warnings around the clock. A specialized patrol was created to track icebergs, and it's still running today. So what really sank the Titanic? Not just the iceberg, overconfidence sank it first. Warnings got ignored because everyone believed the ship couldn't fail. Lifeboats got left off because sinking seemed impossible. Everyone was so sure of their own cleverness that nobody prepared for the one thing that mattered most, being wrong. More than 100 years later, people still use the word unsinkable when they talk about this ship. But not the way the shipping company hoped. Today it's a warning. A reminder that the moment you stop believing something can fail is usually the moment it does. And maybe that's why this story still matters. It was never really just about a ship. It's about believing something is impossible right up until the moment it happens anyway. And that's how one confident word printed in a few newspapers helped turn the greatest ship ever built into the most famous disaster in history.